Hey guys, Zeph here. This is a response video to my own video. Yeah, I'm that badass. So I'm going to answer some questions on my previous video. And, I didn't want to wait too long. I want to do a response video to that one and answer some questions. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. We're going to go ahead and compare both controllers as well as answer some questions. So let's see. People want to know why I was nail biting. I really wasn't. The thing is that right before I made the video, I actually had some salmon, and that should be good. So I started eating the salmon off my fingers and stuff. That's how good it is. Okay, so let's hop into it. One guy said, "Oh, Latin Mafia says he never uses the D-pad for fighting games. Is that even possible? Seriously." Like, I understand, depending on a fighting game, of course. Dead or Alive, no, I don't use a D-pad. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, yeah. Those ones, D-pad is required. Let's keep going here. Durisso says he got the D-pad for Christmas, and it's fantastic. I'm getting to my thoughts in a minute. Hold on a second. You know how, yeah, you got a whole thing here. So, Persistent Thug says, most have always said the 360 controller was inferior and inadequate for fighting games because of the D-pad. I think it's a step in the right, I think this is a step, he's talking about this, it's a step in the right direction for the, although most people I've heard said that the DualShock D-pad was still a bit better in precision. Only one reasonable complaint I ever heard from it is the button colors. On screen, the games, they show up as colors and letters, but since the colors aren't, colors are gray, black, white, it can be confusing at times. How about it, Zephyrnix? I'm getting to that in a minute. I'm definitely going to touch on that one too. Matter of fact, no, I'll do it now. Yeah, it really is. It's luckily I've memorized the colors for the most part. But yeah, I actually found myself, especially in Mortal Kombat, kind of looking at the colors. Oh, right, red, that's B. So now I have to sit here and like really remember the colors. So good news is when I look at the controller, the colors already just kind of pop up already there, through my imagination. So I got it. So it's not really that big of a problem. Meow responded with, I agree, it's a good step in the direction for the D-pad, just as not as good as the DS3 D-pad. I use both D-pads. Honestly, I gotta say, yeah, the DS3 DualShock 3 pad is better than this particular D-pad, specifically for one thing. Why they really went out their way to make it look good, like puts chrome in certain places and everything, and they put chrome in the D-pad. Like, seriously, what were you thinking when you put chrome in a D-pad? And that's one of the problems. It's like, because of the chrome in the D-pad, if you have anything on your fingers, anything like that, it's going to slip, it's just, this is how it is. It's going to slip. So, you need, just like you have traction in the actual joysticks here, you need traction in the D-pad too. They went all out their way to make it look good. But, I mean, it doesn't really make... It's not like I'm running into any problems with it per se. I'm just saying that, yeah, for that and that reason only, why I would definitely agree with Persistent Thug. Yeah, in terms of position, the reason why I would have more position is because the D-pad on the DS3 controller is, in fact, I think it's either plastic or rubber plastic, one or the other. But chrome is worse than both of them when it comes to traction. So what you gonna do? Striker responded with that one with a lot of people don't realize though is that the converts the converts, buttons, and triggers, along with the placement of the D-pad itself, feels rather awkward in comparison to the DualShock for fighters. No, I'm gonna disagree with you, Strike. Only because honestly, it doesn't. It doesn't even remotely feel awkward. A lot of people, I've never even heard of that before, to be perfectly honest with you, dude. Yeah, I don't agree with that. In terms of position, I think it's a lot better. I see what you mean. I understand what you're getting at, but I I've actually never heard that before, but yeah, I've never had any real problems with it. I definitely get what you're saying, but you know, I'm just saying. What else happened? By the way, I know you can. Face says actually some games now uses the new colors for the D-pad. Do they? I haven't seen them yet, so I'm not really sure. You know. Then again, I mean, hey, even with the colors, they also put the name of the letters. And with the exception of the X button, I can see all the letters. So, yeah, I can't even see the letters of the X button. Anyway, so what else? Latin Mafia wanted to know, can you hook it up to the PC? Yes. You can hook it up directly to the PC, even through the wire cable that I had. You can actually hook it up directly to the PC, or you can go ahead and sync it to the PC, play wirelessly or wired. It doesn't really matter. Let's see. Real Heartache Time says the D-pad is still trash. It's a gimmick. It doesn't feel much better. Oh, it doesn't feel much better. The PlayStation 3's pad is 10 times more better. I'm going to disagree with that whole 10 times. It's not that much better, but that being said, I do believe that due to what it was made out of, it is still better. Face responded with typical fanboy BS. You've obviously never used a new controller. You know, you can only wish people would make one just like it. Honestly, I kind of do wish the PlayStation 3 would make one just like it. I definitely agree. I kind of do agree, man, that it does sound like what you just said. It does sound like typical fanboy response. I'm just saying, you know, 10 times better? Nah. Excuse me. Then, you know, I have the controller. Okay. He's saying he has a controller, and it's pretty much the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm using both controllers here. It's not really the same thing. Damn, I got salmon all over my freaking hands. Got salmon controllers and shit now. Anyway, I got to agree with Face on this one. It's definitely completely different than the actual one. And to be perfectly honest with you, I feel it's completely different. You know, it's definitely a lot better than the D-pad on this controller. But that being said, you know, it's not as good. I do agree that it's not as good as the PlayStation 3 controller. Definitely, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that that this is better. I think it's definitely different. And if it was made out of if the D-pad was made out of something a little bit more, grippable, maybe, I don't know. I think it would be good. You know. Before I continue on, I have Turbine. I can't think his VJ Frost says do a games collection. We'll talk on that a little bit later. Not a problem. I can do that. Let's see. Andrew super late because the controller came out in November 2012. True, dude. But remember, dude, at the time it came out, man, I had just started my job with Apple, and I had to focus on Apple, and I had to put video games to the side. You know, I had to make sure that I got into the job to make sure my family's taken care of. You know, first priorities. You know how it is, man. Let's see. Last but not least, Turbine. I can't remember his first name. Says I have no problem with the D-pad on the Xbox. Or the PlayStation 3. I don't see why they're crying in terms of fighters. If you're so serious in fighters, get a fighter stick. You know, you've got, you can get a tournament edition for $60 on Amazon. I gotta say he's right. He's right. I mean, all honesty, the D-pads are two different things, and this D-pad, I really, I found it really weird that they used this D-pad, to be perfectly honest with you. With the exception of the twisty thing, though, yeah, they are pretty much still the same thing, you know. But this one does feel a little bit better. But that being said, yeah, if you're that serious about fighters, perhaps you might want to get a fighter stick. Honestly, A, I'm not that serious with fighters, and B, even with a fighter stick, I'll still beat your ass. No, really, I will still beat your ass. Hop on it, fuck with a nigga with Scorpion. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, last but not least, my thoughts on it. It's not that bad. I actually do enjoy it. It plays a lot better. The grips on here really definitely, do a lot better in terms of gameplay. Even though everything just seems to be a little bit more, it feels a lot better. Is it a buy? I definitely gotta say, yeah, I definitely will say that. If you are in the market for a new controller, you know, this is definitely a buy, especially since it comes with a rechargeable pad and rechargeable kits and the whole nine. Oh, hold on a second. I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, how much, Zephyrnix? Persistent Doug wanted me to know how much was it. This one I bought for, I can't find the receipt. How much was this? It was a little bit more expensive than a PlayStation 3 controller. Not by much, but still more expensive than a PlayStation 3 controller. But I got it for a little bit. I got it for about as much as a PlayStation 3 controller. But yeah, for most cases, this one actually is a little bit more expensive than a PlayStation 3 controller. So that's pretty much that there. Overall, like I said before, it's still good. It's still a good, solid controller. I mean, even though I was saying that, you know, these could slip, honestly, I haven't had no slipping issues. These are great. Like I said, it looks a lot better because you know what I like about it? It stands out. That's one of the big things I love about this. It actually stands out from the other controllers. See what I mean? Hold on. You know, even you guys see this controller, and you see this, you see this controller. It definitely stands out from it. Another thing I noticed that too is that they put the battery back here, and the battery, I guess it does. Never mind. I was gonna say it doesn't really match, but I guess it does. But yeah, this looks. It feels more like an elitist controller, in my opinion. No problems with it. Like I said before, it syncs It synced perfectly. I synced it to the PC, and then I went there and synced it. Syncing is relatively easy. These worked out pretty good. You know, no problems. Virtually, there's no problems. You know, in terms of is Hard 8 Times right? Is it a gimmick? I'm not going to say he's definitely wrong in terms of the word gimmick. But that being said, he's not really that far from the truth, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, the D-pad, the whole D-pad thing is good. You know, I like the part. But my thing is this: if that's the case, then why not just get rid of the whole thing and just redesign the controller? You know? I mean, I'm just saying, Sony in, I forget what year it was, but Sony actually took their controllers and redesigned them. And I guess in that particular aspect, Sony really had no choice because Sony had to add in 2 analog sticks, or analog sticks in general. So with that being said, they had no choice but to totally redesign the controller. With this one, it's just a simple twist. So I mean, either or, I mean, it's definitely, in terms of, does it look better than a controller for the PlayStation 3, you know, look better in terms of, like, you know, functionality. No, you know what I mean. I don't know. I was thinking about and you know, I can't even come up with an answer for that one. Does it look better? Because they look just different to me, you know. I think the PlayStation 3 controller has kind of like a, how to put this, a modern business look to it, you know. Honestly, I think a lot about the PlayStation 3. It looks quite like modern business, like, you know, yeah, kind of like that. Like it's supposed to be around a lot of black and chrome, you know, kind of things like that. You know, I guess that's the reason why I'm looking at this and thinking PlayStation 3, because the color scheme kind of reminds me of the PlayStation 3, with the exception of the gray, of course. You know, I'm just saying that the way the black is, how shiny the black is. So this actually, though, honestly, this looks really good next to the brand new Xbox 360s. You know, the real shiny ones. This definitely looks good to it. Overall, that's pretty much my response video to that. You know, I hope you guys did enjoy it. You know, that's pretty much it. So, summary. Is it better than a PlayStation 3 controller? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, only because, the only reason why is because this particular chrome right here is actually made of chrome. Not chrome, but whatever it's made out of, the PlayStation 3, whatever it's made out of, is actually more grip. You know, it has more grip to it. This one, you know, you'll still go ahead and slide. It's just the way the buttons are designed, though, at the same time, the way they're shaped stops the, you know, it definitely stops the whole sliding thing. But at the same time, you know, if you're moving, you can still slide, you know. That's just my thoughts. Like I said, though, if you're looking for a new controller, it's definitely worth a buying. If your controller's starting to get a little old and worn, and you want to get a new controller, trade it in, get yourself a new controller. That's, you know, that's definitely the way to go. You know, seriously. Are these controllers better than this controller? I forgot to say that one. The answer is yes. This controller is definitely better than the original controllers. You guys have a good night. Zeph out.